for those of you that have not been, how do I say this? The most in tune with APAC South. I was trying to say it in a nice way. They've got the players that are going to be playing for Gaimin Gladiators. Their top performer is Ape, whose name looks like ape. So if you're wondering, no, ape is not how you pronounce their name. It's Ape. Highest rating on the team, 1.09, compared to Mowgli over on Wolves with a 1.18. Now, it doesn't seem like there's a huge difference between that, but when you look at round by round, that can actually make a pretty large difference. In terms of utility players on Wolves, you've got Shinka with 12 plants and Rix with 8. In terms of clutch potential, on Wolves, you've got a number of performers who all have multiple 1vx's. I think 4 players on the team. I think the only person who didn't have multiple 1vx's was Rise.
Yeah, he's dead usually first.
Because, yeah, Rise unfortunately is dead first most of the time. Mowgli very near a 1 KDR as well, which is a very hard feat at this level. If you can trade yourself off and get a single kill every round, your team is always going to be in good position, providing that they're able to play around that. As for Gaimin Gladiators, their most clutches are on Joe, the former member of Invictus. I'm not sure what's going on, but we are getting a pause right off of the rip as Rise has asked for some extra time, providing that they don't change the bomb site at the last second. Laundry Supply is where the teams will go to first. Wolves will ride out defense. Do you want to break down the operator bans for us, Nick?
Yes, I shall. So we are starting off pretty basic here with the Maverick ban, of course, Masada Wolves. This is just a pretty standard cookie cutter operator ban. It means that you gotta bring other hobbies to the table, the Hibana, the Ace, and the Thermite. And then Wolves also, towards the end of the ban phase, banned out the Kaid, which is one of those operators that when Maverick is not available, you don't necessarily want to deal with the Kaid always. But of course, as you see here, the Thatcher is open. So Kaid could have been on the table, wouldn't have changed that much. In other words, what this means is that the Kaid ban is kind of pointless because the Thatcher is available. You can just play it. But of course, that is going to limit your operator pool more on the attacking side. Valkyrie and Flores, again, cookie cut operators, information, and of course those Terror drones doing so much explosive damage. Really good at countering Asami, dealing with shields, even verticality, etc. Nothing quite out of the ordinary. I don't think the bomb sites are going to be affected much by this. Basement is still relatively strong. Top floor kids' bedroom is still relatively strong. And of course you got those tertiary bomb sites, which are just massive coin flips that you have to go to eventually if you find success on the defensive side in your first 2 rounds.
Not sure why we're paused, but hopefully we get some information soon so that we can relay it to you.
Should be on our way shortly. We are missing one operator from Bibu, so perhaps he is the person in question that has something going on right now. But we see Smoke, Thorn, Mira, and Melusi, which of course makes sense given that we're looking at the laundry supply room basement bomb site of all things, because that's kind of where Mira thrives. It's the only bomb site where she's typically brought out on Oregon. And of course, Melusi as well for those staircases, those banshees to slow down the attackers, to, you know, hold blue control out more solidified. And then you get 2 shields, one on Thorn and one on Smoke. Which means you can again fortify various positions, so you can then rotate around from whatever side the attackers are coming from, and all that utility is what you need on Oregon, because you have key areas in every single bomb site that is highly prioritized, but then every other area that isn't one of those is typically a lot weaker, and that's where your 1 versus 1 gunfight skill really comes into play. That's why this is like one of those chaotic gun maps that you spoke of earlier.
Absolutely. And if you look at the lineup from Gaimin Gladiators, they're running with a single hard breach at the moment. We need to remind you that with the attacker repick in play, at any point, Gaimin Gladiators can swap out all 5 of these operators. They can run with a completely different lineup if they so choose. So Wolves need to set themselves up well, because once those defenders are locked in, they cannot be changed. The same cannot be said for the attackers. Oh, yeah. So GG, Gaimin Gladiators, they can look at Wolves' setup, and with 7 seconds left, as long as they're quick enough, they can lock in 5 new operators that are tailor-made to take on this downstairs defense, providing that in the final 5 seconds that are remaining, that Wolves don't change up the bomb site. For Oregon, you're going to tend to see the same 2 bomb sites used over and over again. Laundry Supply down below are the 2 areas where the bomb chassis will lay. Upstairs, they'll be in the dorms bomb sites. As for the other 2 sites, they're both going to be on the main floor. They'll have the adjoining room of kitchen. One will be over in meeting hall, which is the one that we tend to see the most often. Yes. But then we've also got the cafeteria and kitchen bomb site. It looks like Bibu might have been
He's gone.
Removed. So, not interesting gambit. from Wolves here. They have lost 2 seconds on the clock, and already Gaimin Gladiators awarded the very first kill, I believe, onto Bibu's computer. So he will not be present.
So, fun fact, the Wolves actually played a game 4 versus 5 in the UL. I forgot which exact matchup it was, but I think it was also on Oregon, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, they actually played like 3 rounds 4 versus 5, and it didn't go so well. So I feel like they would want Bibu back into the server if possible, because otherwise we're in for a bad run right now. So let's see what we can do there, fix things up, and get right back into it in just a second. Hopefully.
Hopefully. We're being told that it is an issue with peripherals and that there is a PC restart that is happening. Apparently there was some difficulties with a mouse for
Those
Bibu.
cheeky mice.
I mean, to be honest, hard to play Rainbow Six without a mouse. But if you get down into the lower ranks, you see people do it all the time. You know, if you watch some of my gameplay at gold level, you would think that I don't play with a mouse either.
Yeah,
so
trackpad on laptop.
It looks like a broken trackpad. That's what it looks like. So difficult to play for Bibu until he gets that sorted out.
Have you played ranked this season, Parker? I'm actually curious.
I placed into gold and then had 2 miserable games with 1 throwing, and then I think I'm like high silver now. I honestly I don't know.
Okay, that's fair.
I think I've only played 12 games ranked.
Okay.
So I played my 10 placements and then the next 2, and then I was like, you know what? That's quite
my fun.
That's enough for me for today. So we'll take a bit of a short break and then maybe come back to ranked later on.
Yeah.
Bibu has some stuff going on over on his PC. He had, I think it was blue hair at one point, but now we're at about...
You think it's faded a little bit?
It's faded quite a lot.
It.
They also went for a swim at some point since arriving here.
Yes.
And I remember we talked to them in the lobby, and he's like, yeah, it's faded. It's not as good as it used to be. I said, did you go in the water by any chance? Because the chlorine will wreak havoc on it. Not that I've ever had blue hair.
See, I feel like you would be the kind of person that would like dye their hair like a crazy color for no reason, but I've never seen it. So have you ever done that, Parker?
No, I've never dyed my hair at all, actually.
Never?
Fun fact. No.
Never dyed it.
And I think that's because growing up, my mother was so struck by the color of my hair that she would constantly compliment your beautiful auburn hair.
Oh.
And I mean, whatever. It's fine hair, I guess. But it's like, just for me, I don't have the complexion for darker hair, I feel. And I just didn't feel like I'm already loud enough as a person. I feel like I don't need to be even louder with a different style of hair. But I will say, I got in on the trend, and I used to use this blue dyed gel in my hair when I was like in grade 6 or 7. So I would have been 10, 11, 12, somewhere in that window. A couple friends and I used to get this gel that you could pick up from just like your pharmacy, whatever store, and it would dye very lightly. It would dye your hair a certain color, and it would also work as gel. So, we'd gel our hair up, and then it would be blue. But the problem was that for a lot of my friends, many of whom were blonde or at least had fairer hair, the blue stands out.
Yeah.
With my hair being darker, it doesn't really do all that much. But we rode scooters and we wore visors because that's what was all the rage back then, and we played Pokemon just to date myself a little bit.
You guys play Pokemon like the physical card version or the
both? Actually,
okay.
Yeah, both. We play the card game, but we didn't really know what the hell we were doing.
Same.
So for the most part, we would just play on whatever console we had at this time. So I think 2003 would have been like 2001, 2002, probably would have been Game Boy Advance. I want to say. I think it would have been.
It's close to that era at least.
Yeah, I think it would be Game Boy Advance because I think the DS came out a little bit after that. Because I remember the DS being really huge when I was in high school.
Yeah. DS is the square guy that flips, right? DS?
Well, so they had the Game Boy Advance SP, where that was the one that was the one that flipped up. And it was just the one screen. But then they had the DS, which was just like a larger version of that that flipped up.
Had 2 screens,
and had the
right?
2 screens.
Yeah.
And they did the 3DS, which was not 3 screens. I was like, you could be a little confused and be like, how do they fit a third one on there? No, it was just, it had that cool 3D adaptive technology where you didn't need the glasses. You could just look at it and it would look 3D.
Wow.
And I was like, that's a nice gimmick.
Yeah.
Because I never really used it for more than that. It was like 3D movies. They were all the rage for a while.
Oh, yeah, they were.
Loved 3D movies. And I remember I saw Jackass 3D, which was Jackass 3 in 3D.
Wow.
If there was ever a movie that did not need 3D, it was that movie. So I think after that point, I was like, I don't need to see another 3D movie for
a while.
For quite some time.
Ever tried 4D? Where you get like air in your face and like smells of like aroma and stuff like that?
Could you imagine smell-o-vision, how bad that would be?
I mean, It would be very movie dependent if you would want to smell anything, but yeah.
People would watch, like, did you ever watch Fear Factor growing up?
Yes, a little bit.
Before Joe Rogan went on to be a non-controversial podcast host, he used to host Fear Factor, which was this television show, for those of you that didn't watch it, where contestants would basically do a series of different challenges. It might be like bungee jumping or something like depth-defying, and then another one would usually be like eating like literally like cockroaches or like pig anus. And I remember at the time, people were like, imagine if smell-o-vision existed, or like when you're watching like old Survivor and they like haven't showered in like a week and they're just perpetually dirty, and it's like, I wonder what they smell like. And it's like, why would you wonder that? What's wrong with you? Smell-o-vision is something that is a frontier that I don't think we need to explore.
So I went to Disney World and I went on the Avatar ride.
World or land?
World or land, yes.
World or land. Were you in Florida or were you in California?
I was in Florida.
Okay, so you went to Disney World?
Yeah, Disney World. And
very important.
Avatar ride has like 4 elements where like you're in this like motorcycle-ish position.
Okay, like that.
Huge screen, like like that.
Right in front of me. Is this like 4D?
Yes,
they
but
blow air in my face?
Yeah, exactly. Air in your face, and you go through the forest, and you smell the trees and the flowers and stuff, and then like also.
So they had smell-o-vision?
Yeah, kind of.
Did they like spray like scents at you?
No, it's like more like a light aroma in the room, so to speak. It wasn't like super strong.
It was a light aroma.
It's a light aroma. Yeah.
Okay.
So a light smell-o-vision.
Okay, just light smell-o-vision. Yeah. And how was the ride?
It was. I cried.
You cried?
Both times. I did twice. I cried
like,
both
you
times.
cried because it was scary, or you cried because it was so beautiful?
So the first time, I cried because I was scared, super scared. I was like holding on for my dear life, thinking I was going to die. And then I was like, I got to go again, and like actually I opened because my eyes closed the entire time.
Right.
And I was like, okay, next time I'll do with my eyes open. And I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. I just cried. It was really good. I would recommend anyone. I waited in the line for 3 hours.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
I was going to ask because a friend of mine shared a photo. They live in Florida, and they wanted to go on like the King Kong ride.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 600 minutes.
Yeah. Sounds
it's
accurate.
Like,
it's half the time
like 10
is
hours.
in line. Yeah.
How the hell are you going to spend 10 hours in line or something like that? I just looked at it and I was like, oh no, it was 6 hours. So whatever 6 hours works out to be, 360 minutes.
Yes.
It's just like, it was 6 hours. It's like, I could not imagine queuing up for 6 hours to ride a single ride. That lasts like what, 3-4 minutes?
Yeah, at most. At most, yeah.
Like that's a flight.
That is actually a flight.
You could fly like from Florida to Europe in that time.
You could.
And
That's
it's
crazy.
Like, it's like I could get on a plane and be like, okay, the moment that you get in the line, and then I'll be like, all right, let's see who gets there first. And you're like at the front of the line, you're like, oh, this is awesome. And I'm in like Madrid. Yeah. And I'm like, sweet, man. Yeah, sweet. Glad you're having fun there.
That is a good point. Like when you put it into perspective like that, it's ridiculous. It is. But when
you're not paying with your money, you're paying with your time.
Yes.
Though,
and, time is
isn't Disneyland like $150 as well? So I mean, I guess you're.
Oh, our trip was a lot more than that.
Paying with both.
It's like we had a hotel and stuff.
You had a hotel?
Yeah, we were there for like a week.
Wow, those are hard to get.
Yeah, and not cheap either.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hotel. Is that like you stay in there?
So like.
You had a pool?
We had a pool. So we were swimming. After we were done walking, we started swimming instead.
Eat the rich.
Also, our feet were like it's like we're walking on nubs. It felt like they were torn apart. It was terrible. You're walking all day and you're standing just in lines waiting.
You need better shoes, my friend. What if I told you that there were entire?
You have no shoes on.
I cast barefoot. Of course I do. What am I going to be doing?
To the ground.
What am I doing wearing shoes when I'm on here? I don't have a wiki feet. I think I don't. I'm assuming I don't have.
That's it. My shoes
I'm
are coming
assuming I don't have a wiki feet. I have never checked, and I do not need confirmation from any of you whether I do or don't have it because I think that is weird as hell. Why are you standing on your tippy toes?
I feel like I lost a lot of height with my shoes on. I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like I was up here before, now I'm all the way down here.
Those are nice shoes.
You just said I don't have nice shoes, and I need new shoes, and now you say I have nice shoes.
No, that's not what I said. I said you need better shoes. If you're going to be walking...
So they're nice, but they're not better?
In a prior life, before esports,
okay,
I was a server and a bartender.
Yes,
and guess what you do in that job?
You stand a lot.
You stand and you walk a lot. There would be days where I'd clock 18,000 steps. And guess what? Your feet are a little bit tired, but you need comfortable shoes. The problem is that if you're going to be going walking for a long period of time, most people are going to think fashion over form. And
so my Yeezys weren't the greatest choice for Disney, is what you're saying?
Probably not. I would say maybe go with some comfortable walking shoes. Not sure. Anyway.
Oh?
Hey, guess what? We are done stalling for time. Everything is good to go. We are in the game. They've locked in their defensive operators. We waited a long time for Bibu to lock a zombie. What a shocker that is. Keep in mind, as we said, Gaimin Gladiators can completely change up this lineup. They've already done so to a certain extent. Down goes the flank watch of 0. In comes the Twitch. And the Hibana gets juggled over to Rix. Not a surprise at all, given that Rix is going to be the one shepherding the diffuser into the bomb site. Again, 8 plants for Rix.
Worth noting that Sami is actually a really strong operator in this particular matchup because Flores is banned out by Gaimin Gladiators, and Flores is one of the main counters to people on the assignment because you get 5 keeper barriers, about a min 45 seconds left in the round, so halfway through roughly, and that's like 5 grenades or 5 ass charges, right? But Flores has 4 Terror drones, and sometimes you can get multiple keeper barriers with a single drone because the explosive radius being so large. That being gone, that being said, that means that Asami, high-value operator, Mowgli, under a little bit of pressure here, Sledge opens up that wall, but Hoven not getting too aggressive, waiting for that information, waiting for the drone. P4 actually still reinforcing a hatch until 30 seconds into the round, but now the backup is here.
And they're up on this top floor right now.
Loading new mag.
Wasting an awful lot of time. Down goes Joe. Very first casualty comes in for Wolves on the roam. It's Rise to do just that. Rise had that infamous start to stage 2. Nice shot from Rix. Mowgli decides to go for an ego peek. Over by back tower. Doesn't work out the way that they thought. Gives an easy and free kill to the Hibana. That top floor hold that we saw from Wolves goes unchecked as P4 is up at the top of the tower. Hape no more. Hoven now inside of Attic. Try and chase down P4, who will have to head back to the bottom of tower. He's got Rise next for assistance. Gaimin Gladiators trying to make quick work of this entry. Just a minute and 20 seconds into the round, but they've been rebuffed by Wolves so far.
This is a tough position to be in if you're Gaimin Gladiators because you have limited information, limited drones, you don't know where Wolves are. Now you're going to slow down, re-drone everything again as you see now, and with Rix waiting on that construction wall the entirety of the round, now they know that in fact Wolves, they have dropped off because the hatch meeting was soft, and of course Rix didn't catch any further members, which means that there is no chance of any roamers staying around. With a minute and 13 seconds to go, however, and Wolves having a man advantage, this puts them in a very much a favored position. The one way they can get back this man so easily is the single grenade from Hoven from Gaimin Gladiators. If that one grenade can find a kill, then you're playing 3 versus 3. But again, you still got the keep barriers, the mirror windows, and the toxic base from Shinka as well. There are so many different pieces of utility that the defending team of Wolves can use against them, so you gotta hit your shots.
Alright, Tolji next one up. Still on this tower, as we talked about, that fast pace that was set by Gaimin Gladiators, losing them 2 of their very important pieces. Tolji taking damage, a considerable amount, mind you. Toxic canister goes off. Tolji still with a good firepower of the F2 in hands. Can do some serious damage even on limited HP, but has to make quick work of the final 20 seconds. Rise will be the first impediment. Rix is inside of the bomb site with Diffuser. Gets a freebie on the P4 and fires away. His position is known now. The rest of the team will have to cover as it'll be a 2v3. Remember, Tolji's so low on HP. Bibu will be the one in line of fire. Swung on as Wolves collapses. They find 3 kills in a row. Each member of the team collecting 1 to their name. And the first round goes to the EU team.
You could quite literally see a 3-2-1 countdown there from the set of Wolves because Rise is in the hole the entire time and could have just swung if he wanted to, but he waited for his teammates, right? Shinka pushed the bomb aside, teammate came through the door, and then you had Rise in the hallway itself. 3, 2, 1. 1 goes hallway, 1 swings the planter, 1 swings the cover. They win all those 3 gunfights. That's the round over. First round goes in favor of Wolves. Basement is now locked in and loaded. That means that Kid's bedroom is next because that is that secondary bomb that almost every single team tends to go to. And a little bit of a change here as we see the Goyo being brought out, and no smoke, but a mute is on that board. That is going to mean that the walls themselves can be covered with those jammers. That's going to force out either the Twitch drones or a grenade and some utility. When you look at the side of Gaimin Gladiators, they got 2 grenades on the Hogan and Sledge, 2 on Joe on the Finger, and 2 on Appy on the Nuke as well. So you have so many different pieces of these vertical grenades, or up-nades, as the European talent calls them, that they can use at their disposal to try and find some kills. It's also why Wolves are going for these aggressive setups where they got actually an open line of rotation inside the master bedroom closet with not a rotation in it, but a soft angle that basically gives them an aggressive way in towards master bedroom. Then they got the mirror window set up downstairs, I believe, yep, instead of servers. That helps them hold kitchen, which gives them bomb site control with those C4s below. So a very dynamic setup for those.
Saw in the last round the setup from the Wolves on that top floor and how much time they wasted and how successful they were at stopping Gaimin Gladiators from being able to get that pivotal part of map control. Hoven takes down Rise, but Bibu has his teammates back just in time for the Adrenal Surge to get hit by Joe. Finka bans will be something that I'm sure we see a lot of at this major, but it is not present here in this match. Instead, the utility operators of Maverick and Flores were removed, as you talked about in the very first round. How incredibly effective a Flores is on this map in particular. Instead, Gaimin Gladiators will have to run with a bit of a different setup. Hard breach off of Rix into the hands of Tolji now, holding that diffuser. So Gaimin Gladiators will just juggle that objective. That's okay. Rix actually has been the hottest shot on the team, as we've had no problem doing so from the support role. Back on Laundry and Supply, it didn't end up working out. Wolves still won the round. But the gap will now increase as Ape takes down Bibu, the only player from Wolves who had gotten a kill thus far.
It's going to be a split attack here, both breaching the master bedroom walls and attic, as we saw earlier from Rix. That means that there's multiple areas of contention, but there we see Ape getting a free kill once again to Moke, the middle of that bomb site, leaving Shinka and P4 in a clutch situation. 2v4 with a ton of time left on the clock.
It's weird to see Nook on Repel, by the way. Down goes Tolji, but so does P4, and then Joe walks right in. 2 kills with the LMG in hand. And the top floor is not enough for the defenders. They'll have another attempt at it. But it's instead Gaimin Gladiators who run over Wolves in round 2.
Worth noting that Gaimin Gladiators, looking at their VODs when they play in APAC, seems to be that when they find the opening kills and they gain some ground by the enemy that peeking them or just winning those gunfights, that's when they thrive the most. When they're on the receiving end, like in the first round basement where they are in a man disadvantage, that's often where they fall short. They don't seem to be the most structured teams or team at isolating enemy players and finding those kills back, but when they have the momentum, that's where they shine. They keep going forward, they have manpower, they have aggression, of course, they just keep throwing bodies at you. And as you saw in that 1 versus 3 from Shinka, there was just too many members of Gaimin Gladiators ready to trade if any of those kills were to go through. And that's why they got that round. Tied up 1-1, and we are going to go to a tertiary bomb site now as Wolves are changing things up. And there will be, as you mentioned earlier, that meeting preference here rather than dining. And it's going to trigger a couple of attacker repicks here. 4, in fact, so far. Typically, we do see an offsite being picked up on this particular bomb site. Not the case right now. It's going to be a third one to top breach, Nomad for flank watch, and then some soft destruction of Joe and Api, both to Finka and to Sophia.
I find it interesting that they've decided to forego the more favorable bomb site upstairs, but
full scented.
I mean, why not? You got to keep things fresh. A lot of teams don't like going back to the same bomb site right away. They like that brief pause in between, so maybe Wolves can catch Gaimin Gladiators off guard. This is not a well-played map. Over all of the matches played in APAC South, Gaimin Gladiators did not go to Oregon once. Wolves 3 times, and they're up 3-0 in those matches. Looking to go 4-0 in their run on Oregon, and with that kill on Hoven to get things started. You talked about how incredibly important it is for Gaimin Gladiators to get that first pick. They're not going to get it this round.
Now I'm going to see what they will do to try and get back into the league here in this particular round, because this is where they struggle the most. Hoven is the sledge player, the only vertical destruction, because Joe has spent all 3 soft breaching charges on the Sophia downstairs. This means now you're limited to a horizontal attack on a vertical bomb site, because Wolves, guess what? They're playing up above, inside our kid's bedroom. They're playing above an attic. They're playing above a master areas where Moti got that first kill. If you push through this hallway right now with Tolji and Joe, nothing's good going to come out of that. So you go up the wide stairs instead. Keep a barrier, blocks your line of sight. One-way angle for Rise on the staircase. Well, can't do that. Go back downstairs. But again, now you gotta worry about the vertical play. So Gaimin Gladiators right now in a really hard place need to make up their mind on how they want to get in, where they want to do it, and just commit to that one single element. But no matter what they choose, it's going to be very difficult.
There's the Finka to burst in. 2 kills for Gaimin Gladiators, answered by 1 from Wolves. A second will be found as Ape goes down. Joe in the midst of the site, trying for something in kitchen, can't accomplish it. It's Rix in a 1v3. Target acquired. Oh, a nice flick on over to Rise. Another body to his right, but he drops through the hatch. Bad timing, but the good news, he's still got a minute to go. Get back to the bomb site. Bibu and P4 have likely heard the drop through the hatch as well, unless comms were particularly bad. The default cam being up in back tower has at least given away the information that the thermite laid down below.
45 seconds. Creeping around waiting, because again, we have time to work with. Has the 1 exothermic charge, but odds are It's not gonna matter. Pyjamas on the wall, can't get it open up. Has to sneak and creep around this hallway and just hope to find one kill, get that 1 versus 1, and then maybe potentially set himself up the clutch. Both members of Wolves far from one another. He can isolate either member. Just gotta choose which one.
This position given away as the ADS will burn through the flash, and then a slow peek around the door as it's P4 up on the counter to get the final kill for Wolves and give Wolves the lead again.
2-1. Cheeky angle as well there on top of the fridge inside of kitchen. And surely that means we go back to the laundry basement room, because it is indeed the strongest bomb site for the defenders. Typically, the basement is just like a bunker bomb site where you can sit in corners, in strong positions, and it's so hard to problem solve for the attackers. What we saw in the first round, of course, is that Wolves, they are roaming very aggressively. And if you are a team who really understands the fundamentals of how to do that successfully, it is a very good choice to go for. It's almost like when you play Clubhouse Basement Defense, the SSG roam, if you will, you get a lot of reinforcements and utility to the roam game above. Same story here, because you got the key barriers, as mentioned earlier, you got the Banshees, you got the gadgets on Thorn as well, the Razor Blooms, and it gives you so many different pieces of information, and you got multiple shotguns, right? You got shotgun and cheek on the smoke, second and shotgun and P4 as well, so you can open up all the top floor hatches, the first floor hatches, and sure, by opening up the meeting hatch, you're giving the attackers that hatch open by default, giving them more hard breach available. But the thing is, for the basement defense, there isn't a whole lot of things to breach. So it's not really a huge loss in this specific scenario. We'll have to see if Wolves can do that roam game successfully again, or if Gaimin Gladiators, they read this, they go for a rush, or they just find more kills without losing bodies like last time.
You gotta love the sound of the LMG, don't you, Nick?
It doesn't stop. Keeps going. Keeps
I mean, I will say there's only one LMG in the hands of Gaimin Gladiators so far. They had a Zofia in the previous round to go with the Finka. It's Ape to run the Finka this time around. No
typical Finka players will Ape.
Yes. Just to let you know.
Just let you know.
There is a Finka player on every single team. Abe, of course, being the highest rated player on Gaimin Gladiators in APAC South.
Didn't see him.
Did not. That sidearm going off. Both P4 and Hoven have access to the ITA sidearm, which in a pinch can do some damage. Rix is making incredible shots, and they will continue. Mowgli tries for one of his own. Not able to do it. That's actually Mowgli, by the way, in the camera, not Bibu, so I don't... That's not... Nope. Wrong. Nope. That's okay. That's okay. They're shapeshifters today.
They are.
Back tower stairs, Mowgli will hold down the fort. We're about to hit the halfway mark. He hears the drone, but doesn't know the exact location of it. Again, with this laundry supply defense, Wolves like playing off-site. Force Gaimin Gladiators to commit to the utility you've used elsewhere, and then try to push onto the bomb site. They did last time around. They were even numbered. Remember, the push came? It was a 3v3. Wolves ended up winning 3v0. Down goes P4. This was the one player who's isolated by back tower stairs, and that's the power of the LMG as Abe picks up 2 kills. Full control off-site now for Gaimin Gladiators. The final 2 players of Wolves staring down a flawless from Gaimin Gladiators. Well, you got a minute left to hope and pray that GG doesn't continue to find you and punish you for it.
And it's the Ape special, by the way. Just walks down a staircase somewhere and finds multiple kills here. But now we're slowing down his Gaimin Gladiators. We're not going to throw this lead right now. We're going to join at the bomb site, give ourselves a countdown. 3, 2, 1, drop, flashbang comes out, and then we got to execute together.
And more flashbangs to go down. Those Kiba barriers doing some work. Bibu no more. Shinka will need to clutch. Not going to happen. A flawless round from Gaimin Gladiators as they equalize. It is the day of APAC, it seems. As, like it or not, for Wolves, they cannot shake their opponents who haven't played this map in a long, long, long time.
And it all comes back to the opening kill and who gets to have that early advantage. Because when Wolves find the opening kill, Gaimin Gladiators, they struggle so much getting into the building. But when Gaimin Gladiators finds 1 kill, usually a second or third follows in very short fashion, just like in that round. Ape found 2 back-to-back. Before that, Riggs found the opening. It was all over from that point forward. Wolves, they're playing very aggressive with 3 members and then very passive with 2 members. in this particular instance, it might be worth it if Wolves they bring up all 5 members to play that trade game, because you can't hold the bomb site in 2 versus 5. It's just not gonna happen. So you might as well put all 5 members on that sort of roam or that aggressive fashion and see if you can make the round end essentially in the first half of the round rather than the last half. That's just like a meta difference between APAC, LATAM, EU, and North America, where you play the game very differently. And it's very clear to me, at least so far, that Gaimin Gladiators, they win or lose the round in the first minute and 30 seconds. Whereas typically in Europe, where Wolves are from, it's all about the last minute and a half. So a bit of a change of pace, if you will. It'll be curious to see how Wolves they adapt as we go through these couple of rounds, or maybe if Gaimin Gladiators themselves can figure out how to get through that first minute and a half without losing bodies constantly, by perhaps slowing down a little bit. They have changed the operators. Hoven now Nook instead. He was on sledge for a couple of rounds and didn't have the most success being the injured player inside of Master Bedroom. So now instead gets a bit of a more free roll here. We can creep around and try and backstep instead.
Keep in mind, the Nook did come out the last time that we saw Gaimin Gladiators attack this upstairs dorm's bomb site.
On the rappel.
But it wasn't the typical way that we see a Nook go in. You don't see a Nook go in the basement and then try to take back tower. You don't see a Nook go in and maybe trying to flesh out somebody playing over by Freezer or playing over by security that you might expect a team to have on the roam. Instead, you had them on rappel outside, which seems like an odd stylistic choice, given the way that Nook as an operator functions, but
it worked.
It did work. That is absolutely correct. And I know that a lot of people will argue it's not stupid if it works. I would beg to differ, but I'm not a pro player, and I'm not the one competing at this level. Both can openers go off on the back of Attic, opening up a small area on in. And immediately Bibu responds with a Kiba barrier, and then it'll be punched away. There's a Goyo tank there as well to deal with whoever might push on through. Mowgli swats down Tolji. Down goes Joe as well. It's a double kill from Mowgli in this position. Ape decides to take matters into his own hands. Up he goes. Chips away at Mowgli, but will now have to confront the Kiba barrier. If you hop on over, you will be very exposed. But it's a nice shot from Ape on Nabibu to keep these numbers close with just a little over a minute to go.
The 2 kills that Mowgli found are so huge because the entire pressure from Master Bedroom side of things that opens up the entire defense of Wolves, because the pressure now is one-dimensional. That's going to force a rotate from Riggs to go into that satellite window. And of course, Nook on Hoven is down below, but he's not really finding anything right now. He's sitting in the corner waiting for Wolves to come to him, but he has to make the first move. Well, he does just that. Gets the gun to P4. That's huge.
Where did I say the Nook should have gone? A lot of times creeping through the basement, go over towards Freezer, go over towards security. They don't put Hoven on rappel. Instead, that's Ape who's going to be playing the rappel game, and Ape 7-2. Again, keeping up with being the top performer on his team. Both will trade out in a 2v2 with 30 seconds to go. Rix and Ape versus Shinka and Mowgli, but look at Mowgli's HP. Not a lot left. Still can frag if you've got even a portion of HP, and Mowgli will get 4 kills for his trouble. Reflexively from the bedroom over towards Attic. Wolves salvage the round, and they regain the lead on this seesaw of a matchup.
We did speak about Mowgli and how Wolves sometimes kind of crutch on him, where he will just find kills out of nowhere. And I said, normally Mowgli will just walk somewhere and find 2 kills. Well, that last round, he quite literally walked into Master Bedroom with the SMG-11, got 2 kills in a single magazine, both headshots. Boom. Okay, he calms down for a bit. Later on, at the tail end there, finds 2 kills, both headshots again with 1 HP. That is 4 to his in a single round. He has 5 in total. That's a pretty good job well done there, Mowgli. That's going to go back to basement now to see if we can go 4-2 or tie it up 3-3 on both sides. And of course, Oregon, we can talk about numbers in different regions and like defender win rate, attacker preference. I really think for this major, I honestly feel like those kind of stats don't tell the whole story anymore. Because the game right now is such a conflict with different playstyles and preferences and operator bans and whatnot. These rounds can be a flawless for the attackers, or it can be a flawless for the defenders. The first time we saw Basement, Wolves had a very convincing round into. The second round we saw, or second time rather we saw Basement, was a literal flawless round from Gaimin Gladiators. Now we see Basement the third time, and I bet you it's going to be a third outcome, where it's like super close, 1 versus 1, whatever, or something like that. So it really speaks to the level of play at this Berlin Major and how many different ways teams they have to approach this map For example, Hoven and Amaru might just fly in tier 3 and might just get taken out because guess what? Piece 4 is sitting in this corner. There's no way that's going to work, and it doesn't because Hoven now is in the grave. They didn't drone tier 3, and that's going to cost you advantage for Wolves.
Again, they didn't drone tier 3. Again, Nick. This is the second time that we have seen off-site play from Wolves go unchecked. And now Gaimin Gladiators, after losing Hoven, 2 and 5 on the Amaru pick, which is already a bit of an odd choice for a lot of teams, even though we do tend to see Amaru on Oregon now and then. Yep. What ends up happening? You've got to repurpose your drones. You've got to repurpose your push. And this utility, these 6 flashes, those sets of nades have to go in and might have to dispatch somebody playing on the tower. P4 still exists, even though Mowgli's been taken down. So Wolves have lost 1 player. But this Mira is still here. Now Rix is up next. And P4 is just out-dueling them all. Nearly missing out on a 3rd kill. Gets swung on in by Ape. And there's an adrenal surge to give some more staying power to Gaimin Gladiators. All this action happening. 4 deaths with half of the round to go.
Attackers have recovered their
Mowgli to die solo, of course, isn't a great scenario for Wolves, but P4 getting 2 kills in tier 3, that is criminal. That should never really happen, but it is even after all. The one downside here is that Rix, it was the only Heartbreacher on this side of Gaimin Gladiators, which means now, sure, meeting hatches opened up. But Lobby and Freezer, I believe, are reinforced, which means you have very limited accessibility to the bomb side, and Bibo is still roaming. He could go for a flank. You have 6 drones left right now. Of course, Abe is shooting out meeting, so is a different member. That's gonna force people to drop down at that 1-minute mark, which honestly is about the same pace as the previous rounds, but different circumstance. No one quite has the lead. It's 3-3. We have 3 grenades left, no flashbangs, so limited ADS clear. But the thing is, there's no ADSs, there's no one on the board. These grenades can roam freely and really do a ton of damage.
One thing to keep in mind, though, there's a deployable shield that might be down. There's Kiba barriers. The grenades might have to go towards those, as there's the last of the Kiba barrier to go on in, and it will flummox the Ana. Gemini of Ape, not really all that successful. Final adrenal surge comes in. Last time around, Wolves were able to swat down in a 3v3. Can they do it again? That's the real question. The first domino is Ape. Told she can get 1, but that's all she wrote. Rise taken down by Joe into a 1v1, but it's Bibu to swing and win it, to give Wolves the first half 4-2.
4-2. I mean, looking at how this went down round-to-round basis, I think Wolves could be very happy with that outcome in that scenario because they need these rounds and they're so close. And I actually called it, Parker. I said this round would get down to a 1 versus 1 that's super close on time. It was 9 seconds left in a 1 versus 1. So we had a one-sided for defenders, a flawless for attackers, and the third time a 1 versus 1 sub 10 seconds. That is how different 3 different basement defenses can go, and 3 different basement attacks can go. And we're going to see another one because Gaimin Gladiators are going to start the exact same position. Let's see how they will do it because their operator lineup is a lot more passive than Wolves, right? You got the Mute Jammer, which typically goes below to deny Flourish drones and regular drones. In this case, with Flourish being banned, probably going to go upstairs, as we see right now from Abe. It makes more sense. But you got both Mai and Jaeger, which speaks to the bomb side defense, if anything. So we'll see just how aggressive they're going to get. It seems to be a more passive setup, but still with a roaming presence, of course. As one should have.
It'll be in stark contrast to Wolves, who had all of those players up above, holding out over towards tower, holding out on the main floor. You can get away with the turtle setup on Laundry Supply Room. You can have 1 player over by elbow, which is that portion of blue that we just saw, which is where Joe is reinforcing. See, the shield is there, the ADSs are there. I suspect that there will be somebody playing off of that. You can also keep somebody by Laundry, you can keep somebody by Freezer, you can keep somebody by Pillar, you can keep somebody nestled in the middle of the bomb site. There you go. All 5 of your defenders are very secure down below. But again, it really depends on the style that you want to play. And new additions in terms of operators, Azami being one of them, Sens being the other on attack, can really open things up and change it. Since Azami came into the meta, you see what is being unveiled in front of you, which is a complex setup on the main floor to waste time and to waste explosives. And Mowgli just tosses out a grenade and doesn't expect an ADS to catch it. Over by Freezer stairs. There's a player from Gaimin Gladiators there. They know it. The Gemini sacrificed. Wolves have that premonition and they get confirmation on it.
you got a problem solve, right? Because you can't just walk in, you gotta make it up your mind. Do we get a drone? Do we get a grenade? Do we get some sort of utility here? So ADS clear from the P4. Nate follows off, falls that member back down the staircase because they read the situation. Told you, falls off. Success.
I told you we'll decide to re-engage, and at such close range that shotgun will overpower almost anybody on attack. Wolves not doing their due diligence to drone it out. They've sacrificed 90% or 90 seconds of the round halfway through, and they've lost their Finka, the sharpest of the spears, I guess you could say, in the arsenal of the attackers. And look at this, P4 still struggling at the top of Freezer. Hasn't been able to accomplish all that much, and the clock will continue to tick down against him.
It's going to be difficult here. Bibo again has P4 for a trade here, but Toxic Babes comes out. Going to slow you down even further. You got to either sprint through the smoke or wait it out. Sprint it is. Going to try and take that ground now, but we fall back. We take the man count. We take the time. We've burned so many flashbangs. We're in a great spot right now for Gaimin Gladiators.
Tolji has played those Freezer stairs so well, but has gotten a little bit of an assist from poor drone work and poor juggling of utility by Wolves. What can Wolves pull off? Looking to increase the lead that they built up in that first half. Oregon does tend to be more favorable to the defenders, but they can swap when we come to these live events. Just depends on the way that the teams want to play it, and of course you have those differences from region to region. Right now, the focus from Wolves upstairs on that main floor. Open up some of the hatches. P4 has inched his way down Freezer. He's got a long line of sight towards Laundry, but where is the rest of the team to assist him? Diffuser in the hands of Shinka. Wolves all spread out. They'll have to pick their targets carefully. Last of the utility from the smoke coming out now. No more toxic canisters remaining for Tolji. So instead, you have to take matters into your own hands. Nate goes out. It's an out duel from Joe, and another as he immediately takes on Bibu. Bites off more than he can chew, but he's got the rest of the team there as the final kill is technically a down, as Joe picks up 3 kills, and Gaimin Gladiators win their very first defense.
Huge win for Joe right there. Just pretty much single-handedly secured that round for his team. But before that, it was actually Tolji on that Freezer stairs. It did so much damage to the opposing side, together with Hoven inside of server itself. They burned 2 Toxic Babes in defense, sure, but they also burned out 3 flashbangs, 2 grenades, a Gone 6, and they got the kill into Finga. That is massive value. So once again, these rounds in Oregon, they're quite defined in that first minute and a half on the roam clear, and Wolves, they could not really beat the crossfire. Once they thought they had to beat, well, there was a shock on the staircase, and you can't beat that up close. That means that Gaimin Gladiators, they found success early on, and looks to be a very aggressive setup here. ADS is inside of master bedroom door. Closet rotate, jammer on it as well. Gonna be holding trophy here with the Aruni laser gates too, which means again, early aggression. We're gonna contest the Wolves on the entry points. I'm curious to see if they have a different approach now on the attacking side, because it looks like Gaimin Gladiators wanna contest you downstairs, upstairs, everywhere really. We got 2 members of Wolves spawning on the tower side. It's going to be Rise and Beeple. This is quite nice because you get flashbangs and grenades for addicts. You can go ADS here and then grenade something. Then you get the other 3 members likely spawning either on the master side or of course Junkyard. So a split out attack here from Wolves. 2 on Junkyard, 1 main lobby door, and 2 big tower. This could be a try to take down here that P4 is droning, to do some grenades from below perhaps. Very possible. We'll see what they opt for. But right now it's Rise entering that big tower that we were droning for him, putting down a flank, and then we can start breaching open those walls.
First crack at dorms went in favor of the attackers in the first half. That was Gaimin Gladiators who came out ahead against Wolves. Followed up Gaimin Gladiators' second round in a row in round 4, which was flawlessly done on Laundry. But since then, Laundry has been in favor of the defense. What will dorms do? It's only been played twice, and it's a 50-50 at the moment. One of the issues that Wolves had in the previous round was drone work. They've got some good scouting that's been done, and they figured out the location of Gaimin Gladiators, but that's only half the battle. The other half is actually killing them, and there was some difficulties from Wolves as well. Ape finally taken down after a bit of confusion.
Ring around the Rosie, oh my days. The table blocking both lines of sight. Wolves come out on top, but it's not pretty. P4 gets that kill, locks it in, and that's going to mean the downstairs of Kitchen is now sacrificed, or rather given up from the defenders, and Wolves now getting a lot of map control out of nothing here. P4 has 2 in his pocket, can use them to do some vertical destructional damage here, see if Rix can survive or not. 50-50 gambles, those nades from below. They're going to be tossed out without information, so it's a guessing game at Hoven on this flank. Does Rise hear it? doesn't seem to be the case. Join this too. Oh, they have no idea.
Oh my goodness, so close to blows. Hoven has the angle right now. Rise will need to play quickly as the nade goes out. Cooked a little bit too less than it needs to be. Joe has his teammates back though. Down goes Mowgli, so the Wolves will lose their very first player. Suddenly, it's a 4v4.
It is. Rise staying alive, but Mowgli dying right now. It's a bit of a change from the EOL situation that they're in normally. With 40 seconds to go and these ADSs and Keeper Barriers all being alive, it means that GG has a ton of different safe positions here. P4 on the flank.
Only 30 seconds left for them to be able to pull this one off. Not a ton of time to work with, but they've got good firepower in their hands. Can they simply overpower these players of Gaimin Gladiators? That's the real question. Assault will come over towards dorms. Nothing really at White Stairs, nothing really by big windows. So Gaimin Gladiators can turn their sights over towards game. Joe looks for one, cannot get more than that. Shinko with his teammate. He gets one as well. Tolji and Rick still upright, side by side. Diffuser getting planted. Gaimin Gladiators getting picked off. Tolji can't do it, but he walks right in, and down goes the Diffuser being planted at the last second. Gaimin Gladiators salvage the round as the coverage is not good enough for Wolves. And we've got a tie game, Nick.
We're having some issues with the clock right now on the attack inside. The final round from Gaimin Gladiators, sorry. They were struggling on the basement attack, right? 9 seconds left, the round ended. Now Wolves, 2 rounds in a row since the side swap, they're struggling with their time as well, where they were planting in 0 seconds, and Tolji got that kill towards the planter. Round ends right then and there. It's over. Now we see Gaimin Gladiators go to that tertiary bomb site. This is essentially where Wolves, they have to win a round, right? Otherwise, bomb site reset. They can go basement onto Kid's bedroom, and then it's match point, then you go tertiary again. Or you force overtime at the very least. So now Wolves, this is your challenge. This is your task. You have to win the worst bomb site to defend, essentially, the second worst to defend. Otherwise, you're in for a really bad time in this game.
10 seconds left.
Could have said it better myself. The tertiary bomb site really is where most teams trip up on Oregon. That wasn't the case in that first half again. If we just want to go over the body of work that these two teams have been putting in over the 8 rounds of live action, now as we go into round number 9, we'll see what happens over these 3 minutes. You look at it and attackers, 1 dorms upstairs. 1 laundry. That's it. That's all that we have for these 2 attacking round victories. It has been defense all the rest of the way, taking 6 of the 8 rounds. So it's hard for us to really get a ton of information, especially given that the only tertiary bomb site that was played wasn't over towards cafeteria and kitchen. It was the meeting component. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to have to speculate. Joe goes down as it's another take onto meeting, so the second time this bomb site will show up. And that is a crucial blow to Gaimin Gladiators. To lose your Azami as the first defender is dangerous. You've got 3 operators, the Smoke, the Wamai, and the Azami, all of whom you want living to as close to the end of the round as possible to maximize the value from their gadgets. The best player on your team in terms of kills and one of the strongest operators in the game right now is the first one that you lose. That's particularly damning.
It is. You want Joe alive in these rounds because Joe is just saving grace himself. That grenade from Mowgli is so accurate and so good from down below. That's going to clean out Hope from that big window position, leaving just 1 member now. Oh, it's the one and only, but no, P4, he finds him on the standoff. It's a freebie for him.
No, I don't know if I'd call it a freebie. That one is far more of a freebie as Rix decides to dry peek the main door. It'll need to be retrieved by Tolji. A kill for Tolji on Mowgli is a good start, but there's so much ground to make up. It looked like it might be another dry peek, but Tolji's decided that that is not the case. Conventional hard breach eschewed in this round. Instead, secondary hard breach coming in from Shinka's Fuse. It's not that out of the ordinary on Oregon. Especially in NAL, we see an awful lot of Buck and Ying being brought with that secondary hard breach gadget that's affectionately referred to as the can opener.
It's true.
Rix finally bleeds out, leaving Tolji as last man standing. I don't know if Tolji can hear the diffusers being planted inside of kitchen. Might be happening under his nose. Potential avenue back into the bomb site is present, but Rise picks up the final 2 kills of the round. And after that streak from Gaimin Gladiators ties the game, it's again Wolves to take the lead. Gaimin Gladiators have not led so far in this match.
And this is exactly what Wolves needed. Like, this is the one position they could not mess up is the tertiary attack. And they did a really good job. They just found the kills again, and that's where Gaimin Gladiators kind of fall apart when they lose that man count. But it was a very swift frenzy of 4 kills for Wolves, and that was it. Told you, last man on site. Could not do anything, had 1 HP left, and of course, almost peaked onto the countdown successfully as well. But now we get the bomb site reset regardless, right? Go back to basement where, well, it was Gaimin Gladiators that found a ton of success. They can do so again. Let's see if Wolves will change anything up here. We do see some attacker repicks now, and look at this. Rise is hovering the Blitz right now and Beeb with the Thatcher. And I'll tell you why this is happening. This is like a 99% blue rush because you EMP closing the double door right here. That's going to take away the jammers or banshees or traps or ADSs. Then Blitz can just walk on through where Jaeger is, flash the player behind the shield, take control, hopefully get the kill. Then you got blue control. You can work with that. Then you go into pillar, etc. That is likely what's going to happen right now because these attacker repicks are speaking to the exact scenario. Even Shinka on the Nomad is to cover the flank once you take ground control. Let's see now if they can do it successfully. Let's see how fast they go, and let's see if they do indeed use the EMPs in that exact way as we expect.
Oh boy, it's always nice to see a Blitz on the board. And
Love
again,
it.
no hard breach present for the second time in a row. It's Nook being brought with the hard breach gadget.
Here we go.
That's another operator that has access to that. The rush is about to unfold in front of our very eyes, and there they go, off to the races. Rise charges on in. Oppe manages to take him down. The grenade from Mowgli lands, and Hoven is no more. Oppe sitting in the midst of the toxic canisters, but loses the shield as his nitro cell does more friendly fire than he would have wanted. Now it's Mowgli's turn. Up next as the proximity sensor goes off. Joe taken out. One player towards the back stairs. They don't see Tolji in this rat position. Down goes Rix. It's an absolute brawl. 5 players down, out of 6 to the body, and a grave is dug for yet another as Oppe and Tolji line up. Shinka in a 1v2. Everybody on low HP. Shinka sitting at about 70. They have the most HP in the entire server right now, and there's still 2 minutes to go. What are you going to do at this point? No real utility, but the mute is there. Oppe misses his shot. Shinka needs to get out of there. Instead goes for the confirm. It's Tolji versus Shinka in a 1v1. Diffuser miles away. Drone thrown out to attract the attention of Tolji, but Tolji doesn't take the bait. Instead, sitting over by Pillar. Can you get any sound from it? That's the real question, Nick.
Seems like he knows. He was wiggling. He's running around for information.
There it is!
Finds the kill as well. Shinka gets the round. Match point for Wolves. What a rush that was.
And it started off badly. The Blitz, the first casualty. Gaimin Gladiators, whether they knew it was going to come or not, unlikely that they knew it was going to come because of the way that the operator repick works.
Yes.
Or the attacker repick works. I should be specific because it's not all operators.
Just the attackers.
Just the attackers. In this case, they rebuffed it. You decide to charge in through blue, but you lose the deployable shield. You lose control of elbow. And with a team like Wolves, you know that they're going to match firepower with firepower. Now, I will say this. As timeout is taken, I will say this.
Okay.
The scoreboard right now is fascinating to me. Nobody is really doing that hot. It is a very even matchup.
Actually, it's especially Wolves. Especially.
Wolves right now, P4, 8-8, dead even.
Yep.
Bibu, 6-5, 1 above 500. Rise, 9-8. Mowgli, 7-9. Shinka, 7-6. Oppe, 9-7. Tolji, 10-8. Joe, 9-8. All of these players are within 1 to 2 kills of their kill and death ratio. It is razor thin. Nobody's really stepped up outside of the norm. Everybody seems to be playing their role well. Everybody seems to be bringing utility, teamwork smarts, and killing potential. Now, we can't talk about communication. We can't talk about the leadership of these proppers.
Yeah, we can't hear it.
We can't. But in terms of just pure firepower, both of these teams are on extremely equal footing. The only real standout I will say, and I don't want to have to point it out, is Hoven is 3-7. That's really the only bad, quote-unquote, performer right now. But we don't know what Hoven is doing behind the scenes to help the team, if anything at all. So it is somewhat forgivable. Either way, as a team that we talked about in the pre-show before we got into the match, Gaimin Gladiators was not necessarily in the upper echelons of this major. I think this is a statement from them to take 4 rounds against the #1 team in EU on a map that Wolves are 3-0 on over the last 90 days. and Gaimin Gladiators haven't played at all. I think that's an impressive feat, even though a loss is not what they want, and a loss might not even happen. Hoven, we talked about, gets the very first kill on the Mowgli. Even if it's a loss for Gaimin Gladiators, I think they can be very happy with the performance that they put in here in this matchup. Either way, the Wolves, if they want to win, they're going to have to do it from behind in numbers, as it's a 4v5 with pretty much the entire round to go.
Also worth noting that 2 rounds came down to a 1 versus 1, both of which Wolves won. So it could have been 6-4 in favor of Gaimin Gladiators for all we know. So it really has been a really tight match so far, and with the opening kill going in favor of them as well, it's like it could be a 6-5 all of a sudden. It's very close once again. Of course, right now, right here, it is match point for Wolves, 6-4 in their favor. Toji holding down this feature staircase last time, trying to do it one more time again. Has that ADS, has that barbed wire, and P4 this time, respecting the distance, because last time, got a little bit too cute, walked up a little bit too close, and got taken off. Has to wait for Shinka to rotate that Hibana for the hard breach, get open that hatch above Toji, and then apply a bit of pressure. But right now, Shinka is droning, putting down that flank drone, etc. This means that Wolves are going to be pretty low on time, because the first hatch is not going to get opened up until about 1 minute 25 into the round. This is a little bit slower pace than what we typically want to see in the attacking side. Plus, you're missing Mowgli. It's going to be a close one.
2 nades off the board, adrenal surges off the board. And I know that we don't focus on it as much, but you can't play with the same level of recklessness because there are no adrenal surges.
That's
Teams
true.
will take more fights. They will take more engagements where they know I might take some damage from a toxic canister, but I'll push through it and get the kill because I can get topped back up at least 1 or 2 times by the Finka. That's not a possibility now. So you will see a bit more reluctance from Wolves and from other attacking teams when a Finka goes down first.
That's a good point. It's also Mowgli, one of your crazy aggressive players, normally entries for you as well. That's not going to be available to you right now. And with 45 seconds left, you need speed, you need entry players because time is running out. And Rise, no one does a good job at this, but he's all alone in blue with 3 members in meeting. And it's mainly a big tower hatch drop for Wolves.
All 3 explosions of fire in front of the eyes of Wolves. And what do? You got to wait it out. Listen to the cacophony of explosions and flashbangs going off. The debris in front of their eyes. P4 the first kill from Wolves. Inside of Electrical, but Ape's on the flank. Shut down by Shinka. Now it's Joe on Pillar with a double kill of his own. Rick's with 1. And the last one standing is Bibu, but he's not standing for long. Rick's the final 2 kills. Gaimin Gladiators aren't going away easy at all. We're going to need 12 rounds to settle this between these 2 teams.
They're gonna fight. They're gonna fight hard. They're gonna fight it rough. And opening kill really is the story right now because that seems to have a very clear favor of who gets to win that round. The thing is now, basement bomb site is locked. It's match point. Gaimin Gladiators, they need this to go into overtime, and they gotta do it in Kid Storm defense, which really is one of those 50-50 bomb sites where it can go really great for you, or it can just fall apart. We've seen Kid Storms being brought out once before. 2nd round on this half so far in the side swap, and it was Gaimin Gladiators coming out victorious. So last time it was out in their favor, but it was again the Wolves running out of time. Remember, they were planting on 0 seconds, Toji flanked the attic rotate, killed the planter, time ran out, and boom, they get the round. It was a close 2 versus 2 essentially, no clear winner. Now, we're gonna see an Oryx being brought out. A good weapon, the T5 with the 1.5x scope, we'll call it the fastest arbiter in the game of Oryx, you can jump up hatches, all this crazy stuff. So it does seem like Gaimin Gladiators are speaking to again, playing for those kills, because shields are not gonna matter if you lose the gunfights, Goyo canisters are not gonna matter if you lose the gunfights. You need to try and get that advantage and roll with that. That's also why Wolves, 4 members close to each other, making sure that if anything happens, we can trade and get a refrag.
Yeah, you cannot sacrifice that very first kill like we saw in the previous round. Mowgli has been the main focus through EUL for Wolves. By far and away their best performer. But, well, Bibu was there too. Bibu went plus 28, by the way, which is an incredible thing. Especially for somebody who's been around as long as he has. You could very easily see Bibu adopt that old mentor, veteran style, maybe even journeyman, go from team to team and bring that experience with him. But no, he still can hang with the kids, it seems. But as for Mowgli, 7 and 10 on entry.
A bomb has been located.
Not usually going to cut it against the better teams. And I don't mean better teams in terms of skill. I mean the better teams in terms of the opponents who will punish you. I think with their lack of experience, Gaimin Gladiators are not a team that can punish you as effectively for that, which is what has allowed Wolves to stay in this matchup. I've been more impressed with what I've seen from Gaimin Gladiators so far in this game than I have from Wolves. And I mean, the scoreline doesn't show Gaimin Gladiators as the better team right now. It shows Wolves ahead. But still, you'd be happy with the takeaways, as I talked about in the previous couple rounds. Halfway point, and they've opened up from closet into games. Kiba barriers being confronted. Down goes Joe, and Mowgli, as we talk about in this caster's curse again. The kill, closing in on going even in this matchup. He'll need a couple more if Wolves end up winning this round, lest he end up in the negatives.
It's going to be a shootout and a brawl because Gaimin Gladiators ain't got many ways to win this round. 2 toxic babes, no C4, but they have guns and they have to use them. Of course, no smoke grenades on Shinka, has those flashbangs, so they have to walk in now, Wolves, and try and find a plant somewhere. Told you he's down below, but again, as I said, no C4 available. Don't have those operators available to you. Hoenn has 2 impacts, that's all you gotta work with. A minute left, Wolves are slowing down. Droning every corner, every avenue, making sure that nothing bad happens, no flanks happen. Of course, still got some grenades to work with. 2 on Rise, 2 on Bebo, 1 on Mowgli as well. Instead being used now, big window open up, applies pressure, and forces Riggs into a corner right now.
It's a toxic canister to go out. 1 more remains in the pocket of Rix. Hoven under fire. He's gone. Rise tries for a second. Cannot get it. Ape can. 2 big kills on his end. Another could have been found. It's Rix to get in on the fun. Down goes Mowgli, and suddenly it's P4 in a 1v3. The legs of Rix, not good enough. Down he goes, but not secured. P4 has to check his targets. Secure as he's in the midst of the bomb site. In the Viper's pit with the diffuser. Being sat on by Ape. 3 kills. And we're going to overtime between Wolves and Gaimin Gladiators.
Who would have thought, right? Let's go back to what happened earlier. Elevate, basically, spoiler alert, they beat Astralis in Oregon. Now we see Wolves take Gaimin Gladiators, another APAC team, that same similar map, and sure, they haven't done it yet. But going to overtime alone is a victory in itself in so many ways for APAC and for Gaimin Gladiators in particular. And I'm going to keep saying, I'm going to keep praising this into existence. If you are, quote-unquote, on paper, the better team, I do not understand why you want to go to Oregon willingly, because it is a coin flip map. But I don't want that to be taken, or I don't want that to take anything away from Gaimin Gladiators, because it's only a coin flip map if you know how to play it. And right now, we're seeing some really good Oregon being played out. The crossfires that are established, setting up that 1 versus 2, the crossfire, etc. Good job so far. And now you gotta win 2 of the next 3 rounds, if you're Gaimin Gladiators, or if you're Wolf for that matter, to try and win it out. We can go all the way to 15, we can also just use the 14, but either way, it's going to be close given how this is playing out so far between both of these teams. It's the basement first for Gaimin Gladiators on the defensive side. They're going to get 2 turns on defense if they go there. Wolves, they get 2 attacks.
Attackers must locate.
All right, well, I don't want to take you away from the other channel, because the matchup also just ended. But if you're watching on anything that has multiple screens or the ability to watch multiple browsers at the same time, we do have the B stream running right now. The matchup that just concluded was G2 versus Sandbox Gaming, the Koreans versus the Europeans.
Okay.
It was another EU APAC matchup. I'm not going to tell you the score. You can go find it out yourself. But anyway, the matchup is over. What do you mean, I'm sure you know what the score is.
I actually don't know what this score is.
Well, you can Google it when this matchup is done. I'm sure you have the capabilities of doing that. Either way, do make sure to stop by both streams.
Yes, please.
We touched on the Azami play and how her prevalence in the meta allows teams to defend on this main floor very differently and expand past that turtle setup downstairs. We are seeing another perfect example of that. But it appears Wolves have carved right through it. Wasting no time. Hoven's in trouble, but has the hatch to drop through as a nade goes off, explosives used, and there's that adrenal surge that we talked about that can top up the players and put Wolves all back at full HP.
I like that play, right? The Cube barrier saves him because you can call that vertical sledge hole, then drop down the hatch, and now you're alive. If that was any other operator playing inside a server, you had to like take the gunfight, take the 50-50 gamble, or try and fight your way out of it. But because it's a Sami, because you had a spare Cube barrier in your pocket, you get out scot-free. It's basically a 3-second life, and Abe surely heard that Proton, has the C4, goes to Suicide. It's a freebie onto Rise, of course, does take a bunch of damage, but that kill right there is massive. Nade's off the board, Vertical gone, Injured player off the table as well, and Abe went up to tier 3 of Tower. They have no idea this is happening. Even if they do, they gotta now make a choice. Do we take out Abe upstairs on tier 3? Do we leave him to roam? We don't know. There's not that much time.
Opening picks have been almost dead even between these teams. Wolves have one more opening pick through these 13 rounds. 7-6. That's literally it, as close as it can get. Abe is still up there. Bibu possibly able to capitalize. And he gets it, but he pulls the ripcord first. They both fall. It's mutually assured destruction. An advantage for Gaimin Gladiators still, as you've taken Bibu or P4 out of that fight. Not exactly where you want to be. And if Abe's the only casualty that you find, that is A-okay. Now to drones, Wolves will go towards bunker. Do they have clearance towards pillar? Yes, they do. Shinka loses his opportunity onto a kill as the Kiva barrier goes up in front of him. And look, yet another to slow him down towards Freezer. Bibu with one, Mowgli another, narrowing the numbers on Gaimin Gladiators, leaving Rix and Tolji, but Tolji with the shotgun. He's playing Ring Around the Rosie. 3 huge kills. Gaimin Gladiators on match point.
Phenomenal. The snap, the flick, the kill, secures it, leaves the shotguns down to Tolji. 2 huge members right now. Abe and Tolji in that round. 2v5 essentially. Found all the kills and all the value. And now, Gaimin Gladiators for the first time are in the lead in this matchup, and Wolves have got everything to fight for. It's going to be a tactical timeout from Wolves.
Gaimin Gladiators taking their tactical timeout all the way back at the tail end of round number 10 when it went to match point in favor of Wolves. Since then, they've won 3 consecutive rounds. Every round since taking that timeout has broken in favor of Gaimin Gladiators. This is the time where you have to cauterize the wound. And Liloon standing behind Wolves, well, they're going to have to sort something out. I don't know what you can really talk through at this point. I don't know what you can do to bring the team back in it. This is a defender-sided Oregon.
Yes.
On each team's respective defensive halves, the defenders won 4 of the 6 rounds. Wolves now go on to defense. So they have the favorable side. But that's the only attempt that they have at it. Because past that, it's Gaimin Gladiators to go back in round number 15 to defense themselves. There is no unlimited overtime in the group stages. We don't know if there's unlimited overtime, by the way, in the finals either. There wasn't back in Charlotte. I'm going to imagine that there isn't in Berlin, but there certainly isn't here at the group stages, which means we're 2 rounds away from seeing who wins this. If we do believe that today is the day of Apex, Gaimin Gladiators taking down Wolves in their very first matchup is a shocker to the standings, and it means that these W7M and OXG matches coming up are going to be even more important. Wolves will be back in action after this match against OXG. There's no real downtime for them, whereas Gaimin Gladiators have about 3 hours until they go up against W7M. And what a feat that would be to take down the #1 team in Europe and then try to take down one of the best teams in all of LATAM in the same day.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb.
I would say for Wolves, if they don't win this particular round, or this matchup in general, you gotta reset fast because you got a game coming up. But first, let's talk about this round right now. Overtime match point. We are gonna go basement. Hoven and Gaimin Gladiators have opted for a roam clear focus here. They got the Jackal. That's gonna help you locate the roamers and hopefully help apply some mental pressure. And they should know now that P4 is inside a tier 3 of Big Tower because he's been there every single round, and 2 of those times he actually ended up getting at least 1 kill inside that position as well. Mowgli has fallen off rather swiftly. Jackal pings are coming out. This should be a rather swift roam clear unless Wolves wants to basically aggress back into the attacking side. But so far, it looks to be the case of playing it rather safe right now. Not sure if it's the overtime effect coming in, but normally when we do see overtime on the table, teams play a little bit slower and a little bit more cautious because, again, there's so much pressure on the line. Nobody wants to die first. Nobody wants to make that initial mistake. Mowgli, P4, tower side, Rise, Bibu inside a meeting with just Shinka holding down the bomb side itself.
Tolji has been my MVP for this match so far.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what happens. I mean, unless, I guess if Ape or Joe have 2 incredible rounds or even 1 incredible round to finish this off, then maybe that changes. But the impact that Tolji has had on these rounds has been huge. Highly impactful kills, holding down dangerous avenues as he literally nades himself, making me maybe look a bit foolish. But that's okay. Tolji, sometimes we all make mistakes.
Happens.
Yours just happens to be on a camera with a grenade in your hand. That's all right.
Worth noting that they have not drawn out P4 inside a big tower. They have not Jackal scanned or tracked him either. It means that he is actually hiding right now. And P4 could be the single playmaker that Wolves need for a great flank. Even getting one kill would cause so much disruption. It's a bit of a shame for Wolves that the attic hatch is reinforced because that could be a great flank avenue. But instead P4 takes Ape off the board. That's Finger as well. Really high value target, and he's still roaming above. Now it's Gaimin Gladiators, that same position. Do they go upstairs, find the roamer? Do they go below and leave him be? Either way, 45 seconds left. We ain't got time to think. We gotta just act. Owen got the info. Knows the member stuck in the corner, but Motik is assisted Kishinka with those toxic babes.
I'm not really seeing any huge differences here, by the way, after this timeout was taken for Wolves. So maybe it was just to try to settle down their nerves. I'm not entirely certain. Either way, Wolves ready to deal with the destruction and dismay that Gaimin Gladiators will drop on their heads. Mowgli will try to flank. Down goes P4, but Tolji finished off by Mowgli. The teammates are there. Rix is in. A commanding advantage from Wolves will continue to get better as Rix will find 3 more to go, but the time will be his biggest impediment. At this point, if you fall off the diffuser, it's over, but Rix is safe for now, and he'll get off of it with Rise there, but there's just too many players from Wolves. 3 circling in. The Vultures had their prey in mind. And they get it. Wolves push us to the final round between these two teams.
7-7 is not what I would have predicted at any point before today. But going forward, I'm gonna weigh my options with more respect towards APAC in general, but also Gaimin Gladiators in particular, because they are looking for middle in these rounds. I will say Wolves, when they're finding themselves in a 1v2 or 1v3, it is beautiful to watch the clear 3-2-1 countdown that they apply, because every single time, they're all pushing together. 2 people push Laundry side, people flank from the rotate behind Laundry. There was a guaranteed kill happening from one of those 3 members onto Riggs, securing that round for Wolves. It is well done. Final round is right here, right now. Kid Storm defense, same fashion as last time. Ape on the Oryx, on that aggressive gun. Last time, he got 3 kills instead of Attic, despite being in a 4 versus 5 situation from losing member early on. That gave Gaimin Gladiators the round that they needed to bring it all the way to overtime. Now, they gotta do a similar thing to basically get the entire match victory against Wolves, and if not, they will falter, and Wolves hit it instead. This is for all the marbles.
In what is going to be a very competitive group, need I remind you. It doesn't matter what your pedigree is. You need these victories. All of these teams are coming in with very good performances in their respective regions. On paper, the weakest team should, in theory, be OXG. But even then, there's still a team that can finish in the top of the major. They finished top 4 at Charlotte. They finished top 4 consistently in the NAL for many stages now. So there are no real slouches here. On paper, again, a lot of people would have said, oh, well, it's got to be Gaimin Gladiators. They have the least experience. You know, their stats are not that impressive on their own. They don't play in the most competitive region. But they've now pushed the #1 team in Europe to the 15th and final round on a map that is played by Wolves, who are 3-0 on Oregon. Gaimin Gladiators doesn't play Oregon. And here we are. So you cannot be sleeping on this team. You cannot be disrespecting Gaimin Gladiators at all. They have earned this praise. I am fascinated to see what this team does against W7M later today. You and I will be casting that, so we get to see it firsthand. But honestly, I said when it was 6-4 in favor of Wolves, I said win or lose, I'm impressed with Gaimin Gladiators. And now they are only 5 kills away from securing yet another victory for APAC today.
They are. And we can almost see the pressure building up right now. No one's taking any gunfights. No one's taking any risk. We're droning, waiting, and seeing if anything comes our way. Mowgli now, aggressive angle. P4 droning out the bomb side. We're going to start seeing this piece of utility, the grenades, the flashbangs going out. Last time Wolves rotated one member towards that big window as well to apply pressure from both sides. They haven't done that yet. So Wolves is clearly waiting right now, trying to spend all their seconds and all their drones available. Mowgli finds that aggressive angle to Joe again, just like the last time around. That means that we're in a similar position, 4 versus 5. Last time Ape, he saved the round.
Well, there's a lot of damage done that's negated very quickly by that Adrenal Surge. Again, you can play a bit more freely. Hoven with one, Tolji another, but that's it for Rix. The kill feed looking very orange now. It's Tolji down, and Mowgli picks up 2 huge kills. It was over before it even started that round. Wolves take it in overtime by a score of 8-7, but it was a nail-biter. And that is an exceptionally hard-fought victory for the #1 team in Europe. It's got to be a bit too close for comfort. You must have thought mentally they were coming into this game, we have to do better than 8-7. You almost certainly bet that they would have expected a better result than 8-7 for themselves. But Gaimin Gladiators fought for every inch of that map. Incredible performance from the Indonesian players.
Oh boy, I can't believe it. Honestly, it's such an upset in itself, even though Wolves still won. It really is. It came so close, so many rounds, the 1v1s, etc. Even that final round looked like it was going to be a Gaimin Gladiator victory. Well, then P4 and Mokta just kind of happened and got 4 kills in 2 seconds.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it was over before it started. The first kill came in, and then roughly 10 seconds later, the round was done, and that's the kind of thing that you see on a map like Oregon. There are a lot of brawls between these teams, and sometimes the better teams on Oregon don't win. To be completely honest, I don't know which of these two teams were an actual better team because they were both so evenly matched. On defense, the teams really shine through with their strategies. I mean, it was a very defender-sided Oregon. 2 rounds on overtime, breaking in favor of the defense, the 1 attacking going in favor of Wolves. And what a time for that to happen. They take their time out. They win the very next 2 rounds. Yeah. And I don't know what Leland said. I don't know what the rest of the team said, but it clearly worked. Either way, honestly, incredibly impressed with the first major international competition that we've ever seen this Gaimin Gladiators roster in. And I have high hopes for them for the remainder of these group stages. There's still an outside chance that they can make it in. Obviously, losing one of your 6 games that you're going to play in this group is not terrible. It's okay. Yeah. Or 8 games or however many games they end up actually playing. My numbers in my head are skewed because I feel like most of the majors were always missing a team. So the numbers are always changed. So it's like, oh, they have 6. Oh, actually, they have 8 this time. So, but either way, still plenty of time for Gaimin Gladiators to pick up some more points. An overtime loss is obviously not the result that they wanted, but it's what they're going to get.
It's true. I will say I'm actually very surprised that Wolves held that time up so long because I actually thought for some reason they had spent it earlier, and I thought, oh, they blew it early. But they spent it in overtime, essentially, all the way towards the end. That's impressive because if you're up against the Gaimin Gladiators and it's so close, I'm just like, maybe you said earlier, but it worked out, so I'm not going to judge too much, but I was surprised by that.
All right, well, that's it for this matchup. We've got one more for you with Nick and I before we go on a break. Wolves are going to have only a couple minutes to recenter themselves after that 8-7 victory over Gaimin Gladiators because they're going up against one of the top teams in North America and a team that finished in the top 4 of the Charlotte Major. OXG versus Wolves is up next, but before we get there, our commercial obligations. We'll be back after this break.